Welcome into our overlay basic video where we're going to talk about downloading and opening overlays within Production Truck. To get started, if you look at the main interface of Production Truck, in the bottom half here we have this checkered board square, and then we have this bigger gray rectangular area, all designed for our overlays. To get started, in the bottom left hand corner, we're going to click this white plus button to open our overlay window. Once we see our overlay window appear here, you can see up in the top left-hand corner, we have an open, download, update, and save tab here. So to get started, if this was your first time in the overlay window, you would most likely see something that looks like this that just says no overlays to open because we haven't first downloaded our overlays from our cloud storage system. So to get started, what we'll do is we'll come over here to our download tab. We'll select the sport under this any section. We'll select the sport that we're trying to do. We'll say football. And then under any access, we're going to start with domain. Our domain overlays are just any overlay that's just our generic overlays that are just available to anybody just getting started with our overlays. So this will show you all of our generic overlays, something like a scoreboard. We've got a breakboard graphic here, starting lineup, team stats, another different starting lineup graphic here, a lower third player stats, a game intro graphic, our control panel to do the scoring, and much more. Each sport will have their own graphics designed behind them. So as you're doing different sports, you'll kind of unlock more overlays as you're continuing down your path for this season. So if we just start with football, I'm going to simply just do a control panel, which allows us to do the controlling for things like a scoreboard. And we'll also do our football scoreboard. So you could do either one, our scoreboard flat design or our Gotham design here. I'm going to go ahead and select our Gotham design. And in the bottom right hand corner, I'm going to hit download. Now once I've downloaded those, I'll come over here to our open tab. And we'll now see our football scoreboard and our control panel. I'll just simply select those one more time and click the open button to open those overlays. Once these overlays are open, we now see our control panel, which will be doing our scoring, and our football tab. What I like to do first is to drag our football tab or any of our visual overlays to the right-hand side and drop that in this bar area above the checkered board. So not in the checkered board, but in this little bar area above the checkered board. And you'll see down here in the bottom right-hand corner, we now have a preview of our overlay before we actually overlay it to our program feed for our fans or our viewers to see. So to get started with our control panel, you can see that there's simple controls to controlling our score, timeouts, period, clock, down and distance, and even a penalty flag animation. So let's just say, hey, we want to show a clock on our game, on our actual scoreboard. We can click this game clock box here, and that'll actually show a game clock. If you would like to have a play clock, you must have what we call a scoreboard integrated device. A scoreboard integrated device would be a third-party device from either Scorebird or Genius Sports, or formerly known as Sportscast. You'd have to have a device like that that's automating your data to be able to use the play clock. For down and distance, we'll simply click this here and we'll see our down and distance. As we're going through here, if we say, let's say it's third down and 7 or third down and 6, whichever the case is here, as you can see, as I'm updating things over here on the left-hand side, it is not necessarily updating those in the right-hand side automatically. There is this update button down below. If we click update, that will update our scoreboard. Same thing for this and goal. If we're inside the 10-yard line or inside the kind of inside that, close to the goal line for a first and goal, we can go ahead and update here, and we can update those as we go throughout there. I mentioned our penalty flag animation, which will animate a flag there as well. Before I go over the scoring animations here and the timeout animations, I do want to get to our team information. So you can see over here on the left-hand side, we have an away and a home tab. If I click away, I'm going to just fill in some just very simple generic information. So we'll just keep this very simple. So we have team name, location, mascot, and abbreviation. I'm going to just keep this extremely simple and just do something very simple like this. And we'll set this color. Actually, we'll set this to orange. And you can see our background color changes. All of our abbreviations will update in there as well. And then we can actually select a file here to pull in a logo. Once we have that logo, you can see that in the bottom left-hand corner here. We would repeat this same process for our home team. Now that we have both of our home and away teams updated here, you can now see above our scoreboard, we now have abbreviations for each team. Our scoreboard is now fully updated with team names, background color, and logo. So now if we were to animate these scoreboards, like let's say, hey, Central here scores a touchdown, we'll click +6 and we'll see an animation for touchdown for that school. Same thing on the other side. If this other team, if our East, in this example, if our East team scores a field goal, we'll see a field goal animation for that team there. And then very similar below each team, we have these three dots indicating timeouts. So if I hit a timeout for East, you'll see a timeout animation for East there. As you go through different sports and different scoreboards, each scoreboard will have their own animations. Simply a few that I can think of off the top of my head. Baseball will have a home run animation that you can click. Basketball has a 3-point animation that you can click, and so on and so forth. The next thing we'll actually talk about is the actual football tab here. There's a few other things you can do with this scoreboard. So if you wanted to, you could show your team without the abbreviation, and you could do full names without logos. So if you wanted to do it that way, you could do it that way. I'm going to go ahead and leave the abbreviations up here. You can also do a pop-up text above the scoreboard. So if you say, for example, we have a scoreboard sponsor, you could say scoreboard sponsored by, and then whatever brand that you would like to do there. And we can simply click this little square here to show that scoreboard sponsor above. You can also do things like location. So if we want to say this football game is being played at Central Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, we could do something like that there, and keep that, super simple there. We also have the ability under the settings here to add what we call a network logo. So under this custom logo and color, if we click choose file, we can actually pull in a logo here to show an example of a network logo. So now that I've selected our logo, we can now set a custom background. In this case, I've chosen white, and I'll go ahead and select our little toggle here to toggle that on. So we can now see in our scoreboard over here, we now have a little network logo on the left-hand side. We have our away team, our home team, score, down and distance, and then even a little pop-up scoreboard there. So the last thing I'll mention here is actually overlaying this scoreboard onto your program feed for your fans to view. So simply, the overlay button you can think of as the on button, and the clear button as your off button. So if we want to overlay this, we'll go ahead and hit overlay or on button here, and that's going to animate this scoreboard onto our program feed for our fans to see. So now during the game, we have our scoreboard up. If there's any reason that you ever need to take that down for, say, a timeout or a break in the action, you can always simply come over here and hit the clear button there as well, and that'll clear your animation or clear your scoreboard off of the program feed. That is going to do it for this video on overlays. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this, and we'll catch you on the next one.